Good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk about the self-illusion and how to see through it. Many of you are new to this channel and maybe you wonder, how is it possible to do that? Is there a how, or do you just have to wait for the right moment that it happens and can't do anything? Well, you can do quite something to make it happen. You can't force it, but you can do a lot to make it happen. So let's see. Before I start, I will explain how the self developed, why it's there to start with. Why did you not stay in the awakened state that was there when you were born, but developed all these assumptions that are now in the way of experiencing the awakened state? Hello, Naomi. Thank you. So let's start how the self developed. The self is actually not just one thing. It's no thing at all to start with, but it's not just one layer that hides the awakened state. It's actually 8 layers. In Buddhism, they call it fetters. And it is said that we were born unfettered, but had strong tendencies that started the fettering process. And when you walk through the fetters, it's very amazing to experience that, how and why we are fettered, which is the last steps in the inquiry to awakening. So how does it all start? First, there is no me. When a child is newly born, it doesn't experience a me. And though it finds out very quickly that sometimes it feels good and sometimes it doesn't. And you know what a baby does? It screams when it doesn't feel good. It cries and wants to get some help to feel good again. And this is something we come with. We just want to feel good and not uncomfortable, not hungry, not alone. We just need to feel good. That's how we are built, and that's normal. It's nothing bad. It's just normal. And now, for something to make us reliably feel good, we also need to assume that there is something that has substance, that is kind of a thing, that has thingness to it, so it can be there always. Otherwise, it's just be gone. The moment it appeared, it's gone. And what happens is, hi Ingrid, the 3 facts that there is not such a thing as thingness, no permanence, nothing reliable really, and that there is no way to always feel good is simply ignored. It is simply ignored, and the last fetter is called ignorance. The last fetter you'll see through on the path to awakening. And then an incredible restlessness sets in. It's so strong, I always compare it to the tides. It's just a totally unpersonal force looking for something to hold on to stand on, to find something that promises to make you feel good always and reliably. And that just is nothing. And in the end, out of desperation, something is simply created. And that's how the self-illusion starts. The budding self is a very subtle sense of me. It's not tangible like when you start out and think, I look through my eyes. It's not like that. And you have a certain sensation somewhere behind the eyes or here or somewhere in the body that feels like that's me. Here, this sense is very subtle. It doesn't have sensations. For some people, it's like a very familiar feeling that isn't really a feeling, but kind of a sense, very much in the background. For me, it was a taste I've known since I was, I guess, 6 or 7. That was my safe haven I withdrew to. That was me. When I wanted some quiet time for myself in a big family, I withdrew there. I just always knew that's my home, that's me. And for others, it feels like a castle. It's very different and very interesting how people experience their sense of self. It can be like a smell or a wisp of a cloud, anything like that. It's very subtle, and it would just dissolve again if it wouldn't be fortified. And so new layers are added to it to strengthen this budding sense of self. First, it is assumed that this sense of I am or I exist has the faculty of perception. If you're a Buddhist and familiar with the historical teachings, this means you probably know the arupa jhanas, the meditative absorptions, the formless meditative absorptions that lead through these stages of assuming the different faculties. It starts with neither perception nor perception, then perception is assumed, then a limited consciousness, and then space and time. And with that, it feels like there is a world arising in space and time. Still not very defined into forms, but it arises, and this is how the world is created, really. The world outside we think is there. So then the desire for form sets in, and the desire for form means that now we don't only want to experience the space, time, and consciousness, our own consciousness as we feel it, but we also want to experience separate forms. The forms are created by assuming a subject, which is in the center of the perspective. You know that from pictures, there's always a center from where what is painted is seen. And so this is the very same. It feels like I'm standing on this platform. Everything else is happening around me. We just had that last week. And you could look into it. And then there are borders. With assuming a subject, being surrounded by objects, borders arise, and all of a sudden, everything is separated. Objects from objects. An object in this context is anything that can be discerned. Sight, of course, everything you see, hear, feelings, thoughts, touch, sensations, smell, taste, smell, anything that can be discerned is an object. So now you're surrounded by all these different objects, this multitude, and now wanting sets in. I want this because it makes me feel good, and I want this not because it doesn't feel good. So the whole drive is to feel better or less bad, if that's possible, if it's not possible to feel good. And this, traditionally called desire and ill will, is very, very strong. It takes quite a while to dissolve on the path to the fetters. Now, this doesn't really work. As you know, what you want to happen doesn't happen always. And so the next assumption is turned to the assumption that there are gods or otherworldly beings who can help you. You pray to them, you create rituals and hope for some stronger support than you can offer. And since that doesn't either work, as you'll soon find out, you just doubt what's going on. Are you on the right track? Do you believe in the right thing? And in the end, again, out of desperation, the self-illusion is created. The sense, it's me. I'm looking out of my eyes. I'm hearing. I'm feeling the touch. I'm thinking. I can decide which thoughts to think. I can choose what to do. I can pick options and I'm in control. I can make sure I always feel good. That is the hope. And as you surely know, it doesn't work either. And once you've had enough of that, you probably come across some way of getting out of this again, because it's the only way to end this continuous restlessness, which always operates, because these illusions have to be kept up. Otherwise, they just go. They have to be kept up, and you can notice that. Just sit on your sofa for 5 minutes doing nothing. Nothing. So, what happens? Just try it. You'll see that there is a restlessness trying to do something. You can't just sit there and do nothing. At least you have to meditate. But that's not allowed right now, not even meditating. Just sit there doing nothing. Can you feel the restlessness? So it's always there, and it's relentless. It drives you through life looking for things to feel good. Freud called it the pleasure principle. So now what can you do about the situation? You can dissolve all these assumptions again. They're only ideas about what is there. It's not that these things are truly there. They're just assumed. They're ideas, fixed ideas. We think something is there that isn't. Just like Santa. Were you told as a child that Santa brings the gifts for Christmas? How was it when you found out that he doesn't bring the gifts? Did Santa get killed or disappear? Of course not. He never existed in the first place. And the same is true for all these assumptions. So let's start with the self-illusion. As I said, the self-illusion suggests that you are holding the reins. You are behind the steering wheel, controlling the direction, managing everything. It's all your choice. And you are the active part in doing something. You are deciding. You are thinking the thoughts. You are feeling the touch. Now, how can you see that there is no me? It's rather simple. You have a faculty. Everybody has that. Otherwise, if you don't have it, you won't be sitting here. It's called knowing what we only think of and knowing what we actually experience. Facts and fiction. So we simply look whether this me, which we feel is so certainly there, is actually there or a fiction. Now, how do you do that? Let's first start with finding out what facts and fictions are. So I have a little exercise for you right now. Close your eyes. Close your eyes and think of a nice ripe watermelon. See the green watermelon lying in front of you on the table. Then pick it up. Knock on it. How does it sound? Is it ripe? Then take a knife and cut a slice out of the watermelon. Feel the slightly sticky juice running over your fingers. Have a bite. How does it taste? Is the melon sweet? Or it's sour still? Okay, now open your eyes. Where's the watermelon? Did you say gone? Was it ever there? No, of course not. You only thought of the watermelon. But it can feel so lively that it feels this is really there. Even the body reacts to these thoughts. Maybe your mouth watered. So this is how we spend like 90 or more % of our time in thoughts, in cyber reality. You ate it, Naomi. You're quick. Okay. So, and this way now, when we look into the self-illusion, we use exactly this separation. Is this actually there? Can it be experienced with the senses or not? Is it only thought of? If you're already somewhere on a spiritual path, you probably will tell me now, well, everything is just thought of, nothing really exists. Yeah, that's true, but you can't see that in the beginning. It's impossible. So we start with the separation between thoughts and objects that can actually be experienced with the senses and are normally called real. We just use that as a didactic step. Later in the inquiry, you will find out with this very same tool what it's all about with this reality. But right now, we just start out and start easy. So I'm going to make a little experiment now with you where you can look for the self. Please do not engage in this exercise if you're mentally or emotionally not stable. The self-illusion can fall away with one exercise, and if you're not stable or on prescribed or unprescribed substances, it can pull the rug. Really, it can pull the rug, and it did for some people, so please don't do it. Just stop the video here if that's the case. I don't mean like normal sorrows and worries and anxieties we all might have. If you can't function any longer because of them, then please don't do this exercise. All right, and now we start. So close your eyes again. And feel the pressure from your seat. Which sensations are there? You could write them down. And then go back to feeling the sensations. Which sensations are there? Now, feel really closely. Do you actually experience a chair or a sofa? Or a body sitting on the chair? Is that information contained in this sensation? What is actually experienced? Is there a border between your behind and the seat? Is there a me that feels these feelings? Or is there simply feeling? Is there anything, an entity, that registers this? and the feeling? Or is there simply feeling as a verb? All right, and now open your eyes. So, what did you find out? This is the way we look for the me when dissolving the self illusion. And if you'd like to dissolve it yourself, then you're welcome to join an online intensive retreat that starts September 8th. The link is in the notes here in the first post. And we'll make lots of experiments like this for you to explore whether you can find the me, whether it's a fact or fiction. You won't learn anything. You have to look for yourself and find out for yourself so that you're absolutely sure that your answer is right. So if you'd like to do that, come join the course. It's only for 4 people, so I can only take 4 people. I'd really like to work intensely with you both and with you all, and you'll see how that works on the page I linked. So I'm looking forward to talking to you again, and see you next time. Bye bye.